Thursday, June 25th, 2020. Digital Trends Live is about to start. Here's some of the topics we're covering on today's episode of the show. As usual, a lot of the news, but 2 astronauts aboard the International Space Station are preparing for a spacewalk early tomorrow. And we're also going to have a few other things going on today's episode. We are broadcasting live and appreciate everybody joining us here. 2 astronauts aboard the International Space Station are preparing for a spacewalk early tomorrow. We'll tell you what they hope to accomplish. And speaking of space, we're going to be joined by record-setting astronaut Christina Koch today. She'll be talking about scientific studies she conducted and the upcoming Artemis program. And how would you like to get paid for your personal data? That's the premise behind the Data Dividend Project, and we'll have the founder, former presidential candidate Andrew Yang, on to discuss. Plus, there's a lot going on in the world of gaming, which is why Lisa Marie Segarra will be here to talk about Fortnite concerts and, of course, the upcoming updates to Animal Crossing. All of that and more on today's episode of Digital Trends Live. Yes, hello everyone. This is Digital Trends Live. I'm Greg Nibbler, and thank you very much for being here with us wherever you are. We appreciate it. We broadcast live here every single weekday, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, bringing you trending tech headlines, news, interviews, discussions, and so much more. So whatever platform you're on, join in the conversations that we can have. But let's get you started here at the top of the show with some trending news stories. The first one we'll go to is Amazon, and something that they are trying to battle that's been a problem for quite a while. And we've probably all encountered this while purchasing something on Amazon or looking on Amazon, and that is knockoffs. There's a lot of knockoffs on there, and now they are putting together a team to try to battle this. And it's going to be called the Counterfeit Crimes Unit, and the job for them is to track down and prosecute fraudsters selling fake goods on the site. So this is a whole team they put together. It's going to be a global team of federal prosecutors, experienced investigators, and data analysts, all as part of the goal to shield shoppers from purchasing knockoff goods. And again, a big problem on Amazon. There are many of them on there, and for manufacturers or even somebody just selling their custom products, it's something that they have to battle constantly in trying to get that taken down, but mostly you just have to deal with it. And then, of course, consumers think that they're buying something real and they get a low-quality knockoff, and it does suck. So that's something that they're going to try to stop. And again, that's the Counterfeit Crimes Unit. I would imagine there's going to be a Prime Video show named that at some point, but that is something that they're going to be doing for Amazon, so letting you know about that. Continuing on here with our trending news stories, let's talk about facial recognition software. And as we know, there are a number of issues with it in the way that the algorithms work in misidentifying people, and particularly people of color. And now the ACLU has filed a complaint against the Detroit Police Department for just such an instance. There was a man arrested, Robert Williams. He was arrested after facial recognition software used by the Michigan State Police misidentified him as the person who robbed a watch store more than a year ago. And now the ACLU wants the Detroit Police Department, in conjunction with them, to stop using facial recognition technology. There's actually a number of different complaints that are going on about this, and we've seen a lot of different major industries, major companies, stop providing their facial recognition software to police departments because of these big issues, these systemic issues that are in with the algorithms. It's systemic algorithmic biases that are just in there because of the fact that most of the time it was programmed to recognize white faces, and because of that, there's huge issues. So that's another example of this as we see companies start to roll that back. ACLU again filing this complaint over facial recognition software in Detroit for misidentifying someone. We've got more details about that at digitaltrends.com. Continue on with our news. Let's go to California right now, and something that's going on there, and this is because of the regulation that passed at the beginning of the year, where California reclassifies employees of companies, and I'm talking about gig contractors, as employees. So right now, if you look at like Uber and Lyft, those are classified as, they classify their employees as contractors, not full-time employees. Well, now they are by law supposed to be doing that. They've been filing some injunctions to not have that happen, but now California, their Attorney General, is going to actually be pursuing them legally to force them to do this. And the reason this is a big story is because gig workers and how they are viewed really nationally, this is all going to be coming down to what's going on in California. So right now, Uber, Lyft, Instacart, DoorDash, and a number of other companies are filing a huge effort to pass a ballot initiative to reverse this law. But if they are forced to do it, this would mean that they're classified as employees, and all the benefits and things that go along with that would go as well. So it's a big issue, and what happens here will affect everybody else, because we'll see it roll out nationally, I would imagine, whatever happens in California, but a big story there to follow along with. So I encourage everybody to follow along at digitaltrends.com. All right, let's continue on here with our trending news. Let's go to a product, and this is coming from LG, the latest entrant into the wireless earbud market, and they're doing something that's kind of unique. They've had this in Korea already, but now it's coming to the United States and the rest of the world, and that is self-sanitizing wireless earbuds. And I'm going to guess this could be a trend that we'll see in a lot of products coming out along these lines because of the fact of COVID and everything else. Nothing to do with COVID in their announcement about this, but it does. They say eliminate 99.9% of bacteria by using ultraviolet light focused on the silicone ear gel tips and the inner mesh. So you put them in there, it scans it. A lot of things like this have been utilized in other products. I've seen it in toothbrushes, for electric toothbrushes, where you can sanitize them this way. But again, using UV light to sanitize your earbuds. And that is something that LG has with that. We've got a full review up at digitaltrends.com that you can go and take a look at if you want to find out more about the actual functionality of the earbuds. But again, self-cleaning earbuds, something kind of unique right there. So you can read more about that at digitaltrends.com. Continuing on here with our trending news, we've got a big action-packed show for you. So let's go to this. Let's talk about artificial intelligence and entertainment and the collision of those two worlds. And I'm talking about AI robot actors. And for the first time, at least this is the claim from them, we have an AI actor being cast in a big budget movie. This is a $70 million film that's going to be coming out. It's called B. And in this movie, they have cast an artificially intelligent robot. That is the robot right there. The robot's name is Erica. Erica has been around for several years and was created by a team of Japanese scientists. And now, because of this movie, they have taught her to, quote, act. They've applied the principles of method acting to artificial intelligence, according to one of the founders. And they said that since Erica has no life experiences, she was created from scratch to play the role. So they reprogrammed her specifically to play the role of a robot who escapes in the science fiction film. So there's a whole plot behind that. But this is, you can control the speed of her movements. They talk her through feelings, and they were giving her acting coaching to develop and her body language as well. So a whole bunch of things with this. Sorry, it's just a little bit disturbing looking at that right there. But that is something that's going to be coming to a movie. So it's called B. And again, the first artificially intelligent robot cast in a movie. It's a $70 million film. She's going to be one of the lead actresses in that. Continuing on here with our trending news before we take a break and go to our guests, let's talk about NASA for a second. The International Space Station, and that show's been getting a lot of attention lately since the Crew Dragon capsule launched up there. And now we're going to be getting a spacewalk that's going to be happening on Friday. So that is early Friday morning, and they're going to be out there for up to 7 hours. And we're going to have 2 different astronauts that are heading out there for this spacewalk to make some repairs. They're going to be going around it. They're going to be actually broadcasting a lot of this as well. So it's a pretty cool thing to get to see, and again, showcasing some of the really cool stuff that we get to see with all the footage that's coming out from NASA. And speaking of NASA, coming up here on the show in just a little bit, we're going to have Christina Koch here on the show to talk about her experiences up there at the International Space Station and the Artemis program that's going to bring astronauts back to the moon. So all that's coming up as well. But again, just a little bit of trending news right there to start the show off. We've got all of the details about all of that and everything else at digitaltrends.com. All right, here is what's coming up next. We are going to take a quick break, and then we're going to be joined by former presidential candidate Andrew Yang to talk about a new project that he is heading up that may pay you for your personal data. So that's coming up next. Stick around. Back here in a minute with more Digital Trends Live. Welcome back to Digital Trends Live. I'm Greg Nibbler. Thank you very much for joining us. Hit that subscribe button wherever you are so you can join the show here every day for the great conversations that we get to have, and I am looking forward to this next one. But let me ask you a question. How would you like to get paid for your personal data? Well, that's something that could be a possibility in association with the Data Dividend Project, a new program that has been launched to establish and enforce data property rights. And to talk about this, we have the founder and the person who launched this, former presidential candidate Andrew Yang, joining us right now. Andrew, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Oh, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me. Let's get people money for your data. Let's do it. It's worth tens of billions of dollars, and we're not seeing a dime. What's up with that?
Right. Well, that's what I want to talk about too. I mean, personal data is something that we've been talking about for a long time, and about how important that is. Now companies are making so much money. Facebook, Google, just to name a couple of them. So how would this work? How would consumers get some of that money back?
The great change in the regulatory framework was that California passed the CCPA and went into effect this year. And under the CCPA, everyone in California has the right to know what they're doing with their data, the right to opt out, and potentially even the right to turn it off. So this is an incredibly powerful set of rights. So if you sign up for the Data Dividend Project at ddpforall.com, we will activate your data rights in California and Nevada, where they already have rules on the books. And if you're not in one of those states, then we will go to your state house and say, hey, you should have a law on the books like California and Nevada. And we will also let you know if there are any data breach claims that you're entitled to compensation for, because there are actually these successful lawsuits that most people just don't hear about. But in many cases, you're owed money.
So when it comes to tracking somebody's personal data like this, how would that actually work with the companies that you're I mean, I guess not necessarily targeting, but the big companies that are using all this data? How would you keep track of that?
Well, that is the big question, is who's keeping track of that? And so if you go to Facebook, let's use Facebook because we all understand it. $650 billion company, revenue in the tens of billions of dollars. Most of that is from our data. And so now under these new rules, Facebook has to tell you what they've been doing with your data, who it's been sold to, resold, how it's been packaged. And so we can go to them and say, hey, look, let us know what the heck is going on. And then they have a set of choices. So this is brand new. This law literally went into effect the beginning of this year and starts getting enforced next week. So instead of being a black box, these companies should say, look, people's data is still theirs, even if we have access to it through this, this consent agreement. And so we have to come clean with what we're doing with your data. And that's what the Data Dividend Project is all about, is activating people's data property rights so that we can get a straight answer from the tech companies.
When you look at something like this California law, so the California Consumer Privacy Act, like you said, that was just passed earlier this year, that's just in that one state. So that, I would think, would cause some issues when it comes to regulations as far as other states. Do you see the need for a national or federal policy that would be similar to this?
Congress should be following California's lead, but one thing I'm happy to say is that state houses around the country are already considering this legislation. New York, Washington State, Nevada, and California already have it. And if you're a state legislator, you're looking at this saying, wait a minute, why do people in California and Nevada have rights that we don't have here in Massachusetts? And what's the upside? My people are happy and love me. What's the downside? Nothing. So you can see that these state houses are all going to follow California and Nevada's lead. And that's one of the things that the Data Dividend Project is committed to activating around the country.
When you look at this, if this were all to be enacted feasibly exactly how you want it, what are we talking about, like actual money would somebody see? How would somebody be paid for their data, or how much do you think it would be?
Well, you're not going to believe it, but if you sign up for ddpforall.com, there's a chance we can get you money in a matter of days and weeks right now. And certainly, if you fast forward, how much money is your data worth? You can just look at the revenues of the Facebooks and the Googles, tens of billions of dollars a year. For each individual, there's a range. It can be something like minimum tens of dollars a month, but depending upon who you are, it can be up to thousands of dollars a month. So the question is, how are we going to determine and unlock that value?
It's definitely exciting. I mean, I think something that a lot of people will be interested in. I mean, we all want control of our data. I feel like is a big thing that a lot of people want. Something else I want to talk to you just about, with your recent presidential run. There seems to be always this disconnect between Silicon Valley and Washington, going back and forth. And for you, you obviously have a very good grasp on the tech industry, and a lot of your policies reflect that. Do you see a role for yourself going forward in Washington in a more official capacity?
I couldn't agree with you more that Washington, D.C. is decades behind the curve on technology. And it's gone from being inconvenient to disastrous over time. So one of my big goals is to try and catch them up. And that's a very tall order. Like it may not be possible for any one individual to somehow drag Washington, D.C. into the 21st century, but we have to do it. We have to try, and that's certainly something I'm committed to.
Looking at this going forward, too, as we see kind of the election unfold, you got Trump, you've got Biden, and obviously there's a lot going on in the world right now that's affecting all kinds of different things. And just curious to get your opinion, being somebody who was running for this, who do you think would be the ideal vice presidential choice for Joe Biden?
No, it's a really personal decision on Joe's part. He knows that because he's been VP for 8 years. So you have to have the right trust and relationship with your partner in governing. And so it's an unanswerable question unless you're Joe Biden, honestly, because that chemistry is going to be really, really important. But I know that Kamala Harris is one of the front runners. I've become friends with Kamala on the trail, and she's a tremendous individual.
And that's a great answer on that. Andrew, I do want to ask you something else because I know you posted this on Twitter as well. You're a sports fan. Obviously, we haven't had a whole lot of sports here that's been going on, but we're seeing some of these leagues start back up. So which sport are you most looking forward to watching here as they open back up?
Well, I'm a big NBA fan. I just did a podcast with JJ Redick, who's a great guy. So I'd have to say the NBA, but you have to also have some caution or reservation because Florida, unfortunately, is one of these new epicenters where they're seeing surges in positive test rates, and that's where all players are going. And so the question is, can you set up a bubble in Orlando that keeps people safe and lets us all enjoy NBA games again?
I want to say thank you very much for joining us here. I did have one final question just about social media and some of the different things that are going on with that as we see Twitter, how they're kind of regulating or taking a look at different tweets and flagging them. Then you have Facebook, who's not doing that. Do you feel that social media should take a more active role in moderating content on the sites?
I think Facebook saying that they're a platform, not a publisher, is nonsense. They're literally the biggest publisher in the world at this point. And so they should be held to some kind of standards the same way that a cable network or like other traditional media company is. So I think that you have to take responsibility. You're one of the biggest, richest companies in the world. Like you have to start actually having some kind of standards. And hopefully they'll see that. I mean, they're not a scrappy startup anymore. They're one of the biggest companies in the world.
Well, Andrew, I want to say, like I said, thank you very much. I want to remind everybody, too, so the Data Dividend Project, so people can go there now, sign up.
Yes, get that data dividend, check. DDPforall.com, thank you. Or just Google data dividend. Yeah, who doesn't want this? What is the downside? We're going to try and take back what should be ours in the first place. Our data is our property.
Fantastic. Andrew Yang, thank you very much for being here, sir. Really appreciate it.
Appreciate you. Great seeing you. Stay safe. Thanks, man.
You too. Bye. Andrew Yang, right here on Digital Trends Live. How awesome is that? DDP for all. So go there, take a look at that. Like you said, who doesn't want that? All right, let's continue on here. We've got to go to a break because we've got more coming up. We've got astronaut Christina Koch, who's going to be here on the show talking about the Artemis project, going to talk about some of the scientific experiments that she conducted in space. All that's coming up. Stick around, back here in a minute with more Digital Trends Live. Welcome back to Digital Trends Live. I'm Greg Nibbler. Again, thanks for joining us. Hit that subscribe button because every day we have something exciting to talk about here on the show, and I appreciate everybody who joins this. And right now, I am excited because we get to talk about space and the really great things that NASA has planned, some explorations to the moon, some scientific studies that happen up there, and to talk about that, we've got Christina Koch joining us right now. Thank you so much for being here.
Hi, Greg. Great to be with you.
Christina, I want to talk about a lot of the scientific studies that you conducted up there, but certainly the Artemis project has people very excited, the Artemis program to go back to the moon. And with this lofty goal of 2024 of landing 2 people back on there, and I want to get your opinion on this with everything kind of getting delayed a little bit. Do you think we're still going to be able to hit that time?
Yes, it is such an exciting time, and as excited as you and your viewers are, I must be even more excited. It's a great time to be involved in the human spaceflight program with the Artemis mission. And absolutely, NASA can get to the moon by 2024. It's a bold goal, but I think bold goals actually, bring about innovative ways of doing business, and that's just what I'm seeing as NASA pushes forward towards returning to the moon. So couldn't be more excited.
Something I want to ask you on the technological side of things, just as we see things advance. What kind of a role do you think robotics and artificial intelligence will play in these Artemis missions to the moon?
Well, certainly one of the most exciting areas that we see that type of work in is in the automated landing sequences and automated docking. In the past, the actual landing on the moon was done by the pilots, and so they trained a lot for that. And interestingly, that actually limited both when we could go to the moon and the different places where we could land. So having that system automated actually opens up the world or opens up the moon in a whole new way. We can go at a much larger range of dates. We don't have to worry about the sun angle and being able to see perfectly on the surface of the moon. And that means that we can land in a number of different places in a number of different times. So it's an exciting time to be incorporating those technologies into our systems and seeing what it can do for us in terms of exploration, going to a new place. We're going to the South Pole of the moon rather than the places we've gone in the past. And this time we're also going to stay. So creating a sustainable presence where we can take advantage of everything the moon has to offer, use those technologies to go even deeper onto Mars.
What do you think are going to be, you've spent so much time in space, obviously with a record-setting amount for the ISS, 328 days, want to make sure I got it right, which is incredible. What are some of the biggest challenges you think that we'll have just for humans, for daily life living on the moon? What kinds of obstacles will humans need to overcome?
Well, I'd say the biggest takeaway for me from being on board the space station for 11 months was that long duration human spaceflight is possible. It's possible for humans to thrive in microgravity. And of course, on the moon, we actually have a little bit of gravity, 1/6 of what we see on the Earth. So I think that actually makes it even more doable. Just that little bit of gravity means that some of our systems can actually, utilize gravity and be a little bit more Earth-like in their design, which helps the whole process. I think NASA's really good at understanding what humans need, both physically and mentally, to survive and thrive and be successful in long-duration spaceflight. And we're learning that from our studies on board the space station. We're learning everything about how to go deeper into space in the missions that we have right now. And that's in addition to all the great science that we're doing to benefit Earth in the present that's going on the International Space Station. So to me, my time in space has taught me that the future of human space exploration is bright.
Well, and with that time up there, you mentioned the scientific experiments, which obviously are going on all the time. For you during that 11 months, I can't imagine how many different projects you were working on, but are there any that really stood out as kind of your personal favorites?
Well, you're right. There were hundreds that I had the honor of working on. And, though I'm a physical sciences person, so some of the physical science things that we're doing to sort of probe the fundamentals of a lot of processes are some of the ones that interest me personally the most. But the ones that were most meaningful to me are the ones that have such tangible benefits coming back to Earth. And a lot of those were in pharmaceutical research. A lot of people don't know that microgravity actually enables us to do research on potential cures for cancer, cures for Alzheimer's and Parkinson's that we cannot do on the Earth, because we can study proteins through protein crystal growth in a way in microgravity that we can't do on Earth. So seeing for the first time with my eyes through a microscope protein crystals that researchers on Earth have never seen before was a really special moment during my flight I'll never forget.
Something I wanted to ask that just came out today, and it's going back to the Artemis project, and this is a competition that NASA announced which is a competition for people to submit designs for essentially a space toilet, which is something that would be important on the moon. For those people who are submitting their designs, do you have any recommendations on things they should consider?
You know, you hit on something that goes back to something I said earlier, which is that with 1/6 gravity, you can actually use that to rely on just a little bit. And I would say that's a great example. On board the space station, we actually have to create a motive force for, human waste with a vacuum system. I would say something that's ease of use that can clean up quickly is really important, and something that, multiple people can get in and get out and get on with their day on to doing the science and the work that we're doing up there. That's probably the most important.
Nice. Well, Christina, thank you very much for being here. I do want to say, too, I've watched the video of you returning to your dog over and over because it was so hilarious and awesome. How's the dog doing?
Sadie is doing great. With stay at home, I feel like we're bonded more than ever. We had to spend about 11 months apart, but now we get to spend every single day together. She's awesome. I missed her a lot when I was in space. And yeah, that reuniting with her was a pretty special moment for me, too. Thanks for watching.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, it was great. Christina, well, thank you very much for being here with us, too. And where would you recommend people go to find out more about, the Artemis project and just everything else that's going on with NASA?
Absolutely. You can Google it, obviously. NASA's website has amazing resources. And for the stay at home that we're all doing right now, if you're looking for something for your kids over summer, NASA STEM at Home has some great resources.
Great. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Seriously, I really, really appreciate it. Love talking about this and love everything that you're doing. Thanks for being here on Digital Trends Live.
Thank you, Greg. It's been my pleasure.
That's awesome. So, sorry, I kind of got a little fanboyed there just a little bit. But anyway, very cool. Christina Koch joining us here on the show, talking about space and all of those amazing projects that are going on and programs. All right, let's take a break. We're going to come back here in a minute. We've got more Digital Trends Live. There's plenty coming up on the show. We're going to talk about some online gaming and some competitions and some different things that are actually happening to help people. We've got Lenovo, we've got TSM. That's coming up next. Stick around back here in a minute with more Digital Trends Live. Welcome back to Digital Trends Live. I'm Greg Nibbler, and again, thank you for joining us wherever you are. We appreciate it. Hit subscribe. We get to talk about all kinds of different things here on the show, and certainly with the ongoing pandemic, it's changed a lot of our lives, but gaming has gotten even bigger, if that's even possible. And there's an initiative called Play Apart Together that was launched to help promote social distancing and gaming online. We're going to talk about that in part right now. We've got two different guests joining us. We've got Matt Beretta, who's the Vice President of Global Consumer Marketing for Lenovo in the Intelligence Devices Group. I think I got that title all correct. And then we've also got Andy Din, who's the CEO of TSM, both of them joining us right now. And I guess to start off, thanks to both of you for being here. Matt, let's go to you first. Can you tell us a little bit about what this project is for anybody who doesn't know?
Yeah, so I mean, this project is working along together with the WHO to try and encourage people to, comply with a lot of the guidance that's needed to try and keep COVID-19 under control. So we're trying to encourage people of playing a part to respect those guidelines on social distancing while still, playing together as well, being able to connect with friends and family online playing games. So gaming is a great activity for, having fun, being able to relax. But one of the core elements that draws a lot of people to gaming is just being able to connect with their friends and families online. And so that's the whole idea, this play a part together concept that, a number of game, companies are working together with the WHO to try and help get us through this challenging time while still being able to have some fun.
And it's a great initiative because you're absolutely right. People still need that connection with people, but something you can get through gaming. You can still talk to people. And Andy, going to you, talking about this, can you walk us through a little bit of your involvement in this? I mean, obviously being the Yankees of gaming, how do you feel about your involvement in this?
Yeah, so we've been long-term partners with Legion, Lenovo by Legion, and I think that social distancing is really important, right? If you're not social distancing, if you're not wearing a mask, then you can easily affect other people. And because we have such a large and rabid fan base, how we play a big part is that TSM does. I think TSM does a fairly good job at raising awareness. And through our content, through social media, through making sure that our players are always wearing masks, always telling their fans to social distance. I think that for TSM, leading by example is really important, and supporting this initiative that Legion is supporting.
Well, and you have such an influence, like you said, you've got a rabid fan base, and with that, during this time, what are some other ways that you've been, or have you seen some different ways that you've been trying to connect with your fans even more during this than you normally do?
Yeah, so esports is continuing as usual, right? Over the last 3 months, I think that gaming and esports has seen its fastest and greatest surge over such a short period of time. And so how esports teams engage with our fans, we've always streamed, live streamed, we've always created content through YouTube, and we've even tried things such as like creating virtual tailgates, right? So when our team is competing online, our fans are watching and they can join, whether it's me, myself, or our coaching staff, our analysts, they can also watch with them, see their reaction and whatnot, right? So we're still able to talk to our fans directly, communicate with them, and even spend time with them. And specifically to gaming and esports, that's really always been the case, right? I started my company online with 4 other guys that I didn't know, and we were able to build relationships. Some of my friends even learned other languages. They learned business skills, they learn teamwork, camaraderie, right? And those are a lot of things that I think our fans see in us, and that's why they follow us.
That's pretty great. Matt, going to you, talking about Lenovo's role in this too. Can you talk about that partnership and what Lenovo in particular is bringing to the table for this?
Yeah, I mean, one, there's just overall, Lenovo's made a over $15 million investment in trying to help address some of the challenges with COVID. 25,000 of that going directly to the WHO as part of this initiative to try and encourage that as well. So, I mean, trying to stay connected with our fans as Lenovo and specifically with our Legion gaming community is a big part of what we do. That feedback that we take from a lot of our audience to be able to help us on future product development is important. We have something called the Council, where actually we bring in influencers, and this year we did it online, where we're able to get together a bunch of influencers. We show them work in progress products for the future, and to be able to get early indications and feedback from them of what are the things they like, what are the things they don't like is important. If we really focus on being a customer-centric organization and getting that customer response to our products that we're launching now with our our Legion 7i, our Legion 5i, our awesome new products coming to the market that people can have some fun with today, and then give us feedback of how to take it to that next generation and how to unlock new possibilities in gaming. It's it's massive and crazy of how gaming has progressed and the level of imagery and engagement and depth that you can really get to with new games.
It really is pretty cool seeing the interactivity too, and taking feedback, like you said, and having people try out these things and taking a look at it and being able to connect online like we're all doing right now. Andy, something else for you, just to ask you, as we see things going forward here through the rest of the year, what are you most looking forward to when it comes to events as far as the world of gaming?
Yeah, so for esports, right, gaming has operated as usual. And I'm really excited for some of the Apex tournaments that are coming out, the League of Legends World Championships, right? Because these events have massive scale that are watched by millions upon millions of people, right? Like if you look at the League of Legends World Finals, or even some of the Apex launches, the audience that are watching fills like multiple stadiums, right? Even a single streamer can have like concurrent users of 30 to 50 to even 100,000 viewers. So like from a scale perspective, that would be 5 Staples Centers.
That's crazy, just how far of a reach that is when it comes down to it. Is there any something else I want to ask you too, just really quick? Is there any game that you've found you have more time to play right now that maybe you haven't been playing before that you're getting back into?
Yeah, so I've been playing League of Legends and Teamfight Tactics and Valorant, which just launched. And if you got, many of you guys don't know, I actually dropped out of high school and started my business, and also played League of Legends as a professional 10 years ago. And so I'll always have love for that game, but I'm spending more of my time playing Valorant right now, which just launched maybe I would say 3 months ago.
Yeah, that's the one from Amazon, right?
No, Valorant is actually launched from Riot Games, which is also owned by Tencent. So
that was my mistake. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Yep. Call me out on that. But still, Valorant. Okay, that is that right now. So you've been playing that. Matt, to kind of give everybody a little bit more information here too, where can people go to support this, and where would you recommend people go to find out more information and to join in these efforts?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you go to legion@lenovo.com, you can, there's information there that we have available, as well as you can turn to the WHO as, this play a part together, as a key hashtag to look up, to reference, to be able to get more information about this initiative. It's a great thing. It's trying to do the right thing while also really encouraging everybody that we, even though we're all a little more contained and quarantined than we'd like to be, it still gives us a great opportunity to connect. Gaming's a great social passion for a lot of people, and you can talk about random things while you're gaming. You can also talk about strategy within the game. Some of the times it's just, hey, kind of catching up on what's happened over the course of the week while you're connecting with a sibling and playing a game together. You might talk a little bit about the game. You might just talk about the rest of life, what's going on, and it's a great outlet for people, and we all kind of need that right now.
I agree 100%. And so that's why this initiative is so great. And Matt and Andy, thank you both for being here with us to talk about this. Appreciate it a lot. And thanks for being here on Digital Trends Live.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks for having us.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for being here on Digital Trends Live. That's what I get for saying the Amazon comment. I know I'm going to hear from our next guest about that because that's Lisa Marie Segarra, who's our gaming editor. And she is going to, I'm sure, let me know about my mistake. So that's coming up next. Stick around back in a minute with more Digital Trends Live. Welcome back to Digital Trends Live. I'm Greg Nibbler, and again, thanks for joining us here on the show. We keep you up to date on what's going on in technology, and that includes gaming. And it's not going to be from me who's keeping you up to date. That is Lisa Marie Segarra, who's joining us right now to talk about some of the big things that are happening this week. Lisa Marie, as always, thank you for being here. What do you want to talk about first?
I definitely want to talk about Animal Crossing. We haven't talked about it in a while, and I think it's time. So Animal Crossing just announced today that they are having some new summer updates, which they are calling waves, which makes sense. Summer, ocean, beach. We can't go to the beach, but we can in Animal Crossing. And the first wave is coming on July 3rd, and that's going to add something that we've been expecting for a while, and that is swimming and diving. And New Leaf actually added these features for the first time, and even though that came out years ago, we haven't seen it at all in New Horizons. So many longtime fans have been wondering, are we going to get it and when? And it's not just, going to the beach and swimming around. We also get sea creatures. So you can dive around and get different animals that you can't get just by fishing, which is really exciting. And then you'll be able to donate them at the museum. And that's also going to, fill out our museums even more. They already look beautiful, so I'm really excited for that. So other things that come with that are Pascal. So one of the creatures that you can get from diving is the scallop. And Pascal really likes scallops, and if you give him your scallop, he will give you a new DIY recipe, which is really exciting. And it's so fun to, see these other NPCs that we've come to love. A big part of Animal Crossing is the characters, so really exciting for that. And Gulliver, another fan favorite, is coming as well, this time as a pirate. And so you're going to get some rewards for helping him. We're thinking it's going to be pirate themed. It's kind of funny because he's already always shipwrecked, so now I guess he's going to be shipwrecked from his pirate ship instead now. But I'm really excited. I'm so excited to finally get these new diving sea creatures added to my museum. They would look so cool in New Leaf, and with, HD and New Horizons, it'll be amazing. And that comes out July 3rd. For the next wave, that's supposed to come out in early August, but we really don't know what coming. I'm wondering if there's going to be something more like, I don't know, Independence Day themed. They have their fireworks display, but that's also after. And, I'm wondering, what else is there for August? And, it could be something like the cherry blossom, something like very summery themed, but we really don't know. And the fact that we don't know and don't have something on the calendar for old releases to expect makes it extra exciting as well.
I love, like, even what you said at the very beginning, the fact that, we're in a pandemic, maybe you can't go out and do all the things that you normally do, but there's so much going on in Animal Crossing. I feel like it's become like the new place for everybody to hang out. And that kind of ties in with what I know you're going to talk about here next, which is the Animal Talking show and some pretty cool things that they're doing.
Yeah, so on Animal Talking, Sting actually decided to release a new version of the Police's Don't Stand Too Close to Me, which I think is hysterical. So it's like this late night show, but Animal Crossing. And it is so funny. And it really just shows how many people, are taking to this game. People that you wouldn't expect. We've seen like Chrissy Teigen and Ronan Farrow talk about their islands and their favorite characters, but it's so many more than ever. And Sting also performed like Roxanne and Every Breath You Take. It also had like Clerks and Mallrats, Kevin Smith. So like literally so many celebrities are into this. It's just so funny. I never thought I'd see like Kevin Smith talking Animal Crossing or like in the game. You had like
Right.
Danny Trejo and like, oh my gosh, so many others. And Elijah Wood has been pretty, vocal about his island and shared some pictures. So that was exciting to see him on as well. He's definitely been really at the forefront since New Horizons came out.
That's so funny. Sting, of all people, would be very low on the list of somebody I would think that would be into Animal Crossing, but that's awesome. Going from that, talking about music, I know that Fortnite's been having all of their concerts that have been going on, and they've got some more stuff that's happening with the new one that's launching soon, right?
Yeah, and it's funny because it's not just concerts anymore. They did like Marshmello, and they've had like other ones come on, and Travis Scott, but now they're doing movies. So they just announced that Fortnite's going to be hosting Christopher Nolan films in Party Royale. So they started doing these concerts and other events. They featured other, movie themed events where you can do these challenges and there are skins and stuff related to the movie, but nothing like this. And so Party Royale became this place where they created an area where you can go in and there are no weapons, there's no fighting, it's just hanging out, which is perfect for the game because so many people use it as a social place to hang out. Even before the pandemic, like a lot of teenagers or younger kids were doing this. I remember on the street once seeing two kids call out to each other, like saying bye as their parents were pulling them. They're like, I'll be on Fortnite later, make sure your headset is good. Is a big thing, and it makes total sense. So they're going to be showing Inception, Batman Begins, and The Prestige, like top Christopher Nolan films. And kind of funny too, this is this Friday, so if you're in the US you get Inception, if you're in South America you get Batman Begins, and The Prestige is going to be shown in the UK. And I also find this funny because Christopher Nolan is one of those sticklers for the theater experience. And
Right.
no hate on that. I love going to the theater as well, but it's just funny because now he's showing his movies in Fortnite. Not even just like on Netflix, but in a video game. And it just goes to show, how far the genre has come, like the media has come, and what Fortnite's been able to create as this social aspect. So that's really exciting. And I feel like 2 years ago when SNL was first doing these sketches on like what is Fortnite, what are the kids playing, it seemed kind of like the punching bag. It was like the butt of the joke, like these kids, they'll move on. But I think now people are really starting to realize how big of a phenomenon it is and how big of a social movement it is and how much it's expanding.
Right. I mean, if you've got him, like you say, because he is such a stickler about movies, like he can't put anything out on demand. It's got to be in the theater. But Fortnite, that counts for him. It's strange. I mean, it's awesome, but it's so weird. All right, going from that, something else that I know is in the news and it was trending earlier today has to do with Sony and a bounty that they've put out. Can you explain what this is?
Yeah, so they've announced $50,000, $3,000 for PlayStation Network exclusive things, but the $50,000 is for the PS4. If you find a bug in it and report it, you can get money. And it's really, really smart. So they're kind of taking this like old school strategy of, well, the best person to do our security bulking up is the hacker themselves. And so they're finding like amateur hackers who are maybe not out there for like negative reasons to, you know, go and find these vulnerabilities in the code, and they'll just pay you to find it, like, so that they can bulk it up before something happens. And I think it's really smart. You know, I think it goes back, like I said, to the earlier days of the internet when we were still learning about how to, you know, make our security as strong as possible. And people were just like, clearly these people understand it. Let's go to them. And you know, it's really smart. There's a lot of legalese in there as well, but I think that it's really great. And, you know, it also, it can happen. Like in 2011, there was a massive PlayStation Network account hack. So like anyone whose PSN was on there, and, you know, you have your credit card info on there, like your bank account is tied up. It's not just like a social media, Facebook, or something where, you know, your games are affected. Your money can be affected very easily. You know, you can have your email, passwords, all of that. Like now we know much more how much one hacking can affect someone's life and their security. So this is a really smart move, I think. And it just, you know, bulks up the incentive. $50,000, who doesn't want that?
Right, yeah, that's just gonna say incentivize everybody to do it. Like you're gonna get paid up to 50 grand. That's crazy. I wish I knew how to do it. But that is what Sony's offering with that. So many cool things, and as always, we've got it all at Digital Trends because Lisa Marie will keep you up to date with everything going on in gaming. And thank you so much. Good to see you.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me as always.
Lisa Marie Segarra right there. Follow along with everything she has up there at Digital Trends. So much going on. It's a lot to keep up with, but that's why she's on the job for you. All right. This has been a great show today, and I want to say thank you to everybody who's been joining us here. So hit subscribe if you've enjoyed this. This is your first time watching. Share it. Let somebody else know about it. I mean, thank you to Andrew Yang for joining us. Thank you to Christina Koch as well. Those were great interviews. That was a lot of fun. And we've got more coming up tomorrow. So we've got Georgina Torbett who's going to be here tomorrow to talk a little bit more about space. We're going to recap some news, probably that ISS spacewalk, see how that went. That'll be on tomorrow's show. We've also got Drew Prindle. So we've got space and robots because we've got a new series called Robots Everywhere that is going to be premiering. So Drew's going to be on to talk about what that all entails. And as usual, we'll have some more great guests as well. We'll have the tech news that you need to hear, everything to get you up to date on the world of technology. And that's why we're here. So hit subscribe, share the show, let other people know about it. I'm Greg Dibbler. We'll be right back here tomorrow with another edition of Digital Trends Live.